A question that I've had many times on the channel is why don't I drink alcohol, and if it's actually true that I've never consumed alcohol. So today I'm going to break down for you guys the reasoning behind this and explain to you the facts of why when I was 16, 17, 18, I did not bother consuming alcohol, and then how that's just sort of led me down a path to never really having it. So the first thing I want to clarify about alcohol and me is I don't have anything massively against alcohol. It's not like I'm, a Mormon or something where I'm like, no, you can't do it. It's so bad for you. It's not really that mindset for me. But what I do want you to understand is I have had alcohol one time in my life. When I turned 19 years old, a bunch of my buddies took me out to a bar and were expecting me to drink. And they kept bringing me, here's a beer. Try it. I'd take a sip, be like, oh my gosh, no. And they brought me over a little drink of some sort of hard alcohol, a glass or whatever. Like, okay, here, drink this and drink this. And I would try a little sip of each. So throughout the night, constantly going, I probably ended up consuming about that much alcohol between a bunch of sips and spitting stuff out. And that is my experience with alcohol. That is all the alcohol I've consumed in my life. It is basically on one day, right around the time when I turned 19. Now, what I want to explain to you guys is how I did not end up drinking alcohol when I was younger and what sort of steered me off a path of being interested in it. So first off, we are very influenced by our parents, and I never remember seeing my dad drink alcohol, and for some reason, because I look up to my dad, I went, oh, he's not drinking alcohol. I don't really have a motivation to go down that path. Now, yes, since then I've realized that he does very rarely have maybe a little sip of tequila or something like that, but back at that point when I was like 12 to 16, maybe that area where most people end up trying alcohol, I didn't have any motivation because I went, oh, I don't want to, my dad doesn't do it, makes sense. From there, something else really sort of drilled in that I don't want to consume alcohol for a certain reason. When I was about 16 years old, there was a guy at the gym who was sort of the star of our gym. He was the best guy, even me sparring against him. I couldn't defeat him, so I was looking up to this guy all the time. He had a six-pack. He was just in fantastic shape, real athlete. So then one weekend, he goes camping. He comes back 3 or 4 days later after a long weekend. He takes his shirt off when we're all in the change room, and he just has kind of like just a little bit of a gut. And somebody commented about it, and he went, oh yeah, I drink a lot of beer over the weekend. We're putting back something like 12 beer every day, and he just had this little tiny gut where his six-pack used to be. Now, you guys might be going, oh, okay, it was only one weekend. How could that happen? But just a little bloated, and for some reason, for me, wanting to be like him, I went, oh, I can never drink alcohol because I'm going to end up looking like that after all the hard work I put in. So that just kind of scared me away at that 15, 16-year-old stage where I went, I want to avoid this because my goal is to get in super good shape. That was just something that I wanted to accomplish. I was not thinking about fighting, competing at that point. It was just get in really good shape and continue to climb the ranks and get my black belt, second degree black belt, whatever else I was aiming for. Now from there, a personality trait which I have was basically the final nail in the coffin, which established that I am not going to drink alcohol in those early years when most people decide they need to try it. And I am talking about my stubbornness. I am so stubborn, and some people will say it's a good thing in some aspects, and somebody like my wife will say in some aspects it's not a good thing. Because I'm somebody, if you try and pressure me, I go the exact opposite way. So when I was, 16, 17, 18, and I decided in those earlier years with those situations I already talked about that I was not going to drink alcohol, all my buddies really wanted me to drink alcohol because I wasn't. And pressure and pressure and pressure. They were all doing it. Gabriel, just have a beer. We're all doing it. And because of that constant pressure and somebody trying to tell me to do something I didn't want to do, I became crazy stubborn. And I went, you know what? Not only am I not going to have any alcohol around you guys, like you can't pressure me into it, I'm never going to have alcohol around you guys. And basically in those years where you're forming who you are, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, throughout that entire time, I just went, you know what? I'm not going to have any alcohol because I'm so darn stubborn. And then we get to the point where I'm about 2021 where I start competing in kickboxing. I start taking the sport very seriously. I want to win. That is my main goal. I want to be an undefeated amateur fighter. And I look and I go, is alcohol going to help me improve my performance? Is it going to help me get those wins? Or will it probably just in the tiniest little bit pull away from my ability to improve and be the best athlete I can possibly be? And I don't see it helping me in any way. And I have one goal, which is to move forward and win fights. So I'm going to do what I've already been doing and just not have alcohol. Now, throughout the years, I had a number of times where my training buddies now, who kind of eased off, these were not my friends from high school, these were my training buddies who understood how serious I was. They went, you know what, Gabriel, we respect that you don't want to drink, but how about when you win a big title in the future? Like, let's say you go and you win a K1 belt. If that happens, in celebration, will you have a drink? And I just went, maybe it's something I'll do. But it was so far down the road that I wasn't really considering it because I didn't really have that mindset that yes, I was going to be a K1 champion or a Glory champion or way down the road a Bellator champion. That was not what I was really looking at. I just said it's a possibility and I'm not looking at alcohol like it's this terrible thing. And sure, in the future, maybe I will try it. But as the years went on, further and further and further, it just became more part of my life where I just go, I live without alcohol. And I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. And that is the big aspect why I don't drink alcohol now. I don't feel like I'm missing out. Yes, I don't go to bars or clubs because alcohol is a big part of those two things. And I find when I have gone a couple times and I'm the only person who's not drinking and I'm the only person by the end of the night that is 100% sober, I don't really enjoy myself. Everybody else has a different mindset. I'm still my normal self. I'm serious. I'm not too goofy. And just being sober doesn't really work in that environment. So I do not go to those types of places. And because I'm not going to those types of places and my life basically revolves around training, it's either teaching martial arts, training martial arts, talking to you guys about martial arts, I have no need to go and drink alcohol. I have many other beverages, which for me are super fun because as I've mentioned on the channel before, I mostly drink water. I avoid juice for the most part, but if I want to treat myself, I'll have something like a glass of juice. I know to you guys that probably sounds ridiculous. You're like, oh, he has a glass of juice for fun. But for me, that is something which really excites me on the weekend. I'm like, oh, I get to have a glass of juice. So if you are an up and coming athlete and you're going, I want to do everything extra I can to make sure I'm going to reach the top, would I advise avoiding alcohol? I don't really have a yes or no answer to that because I don't see alcohol being super detrimental, assuming it's within reason. You're going to go out with your buddies and you have one beer. That's within reason. Would I advise going and getting drunk? Absolutely not. There's no way that's going to benefit your body. There's no way that's going to help you perform better. But if you're somebody out there who's, 13 to 16 and you're going, should I cave under peer pressure because people want me to drink, but I really don't want to? I would say no. Stand your ground, do what you want. If your passion is training and that's the way you want to go, that's a goal you have, then go and hang out with your buddies and just say no to the alcohol. It works for me. Everybody still hung out with me. Nobody gave me too much grief after they sort of established that yes, I was not going to be drinking alcohol. And overall, I have zero regrets. I feel like I've missed out on nothing, and that's the big thing. I don't feel like it'll improve my life, but I feel like focusing and putting all my energy into training and teaching is something that does improve my life every day. I feel very, very grateful for that. So I just wanted to clarify that for you guys because I know many people have asked, you've never had alcohol? And I go, okay, I say I've never had alcohol, and I really mean more like I've never been drunk, and I guess I've had alcohol one time in my life, little sips, which basically amounted to about that much alcohol. That's the entire amount I've had in my entire life. So I can basically say, okay, no, I haven't really had it. So I hope this episode helps people out there just sort of find their path and which way they want to go when consuming beverages like this. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. If you haven't already, join the channel, get subscribed. Train hard, guys, and I'll see you back here soon for another video.